All you 13-year-olds.
Mitzvah, your name is Jahan, Yasmine, Yusuf, your people. No, I can't do that. That's.
Okay. Oh shit, you're right. They're 13. The adults. We can invite the adults. That would be people older than 13.
All right. So can y'all reintroduce yourself for some people that might be unfamiliar?
My name's Yasmine.
I'm Jahan. We're Krewella.
Okay.
We're looking at different.
That's so weird.
That's cool.
You guys gotta tell us where to look because
Everyone
No, we
does.
just cut in between.
Are you sure
Yeah.
that's not awkward?
Nah, it's gonna be cool. So just to get it out of the way, both of y'all are blood sisters. What inspired y'all to make music growing up?
We actually started making music together in 2008, 2007. It was as a hobby with our former member Chris. And it was a hobby at the time because we both had jobs, we were in high school, and we didn't start taking it seriously as a full-time gig until
2010.
2010. I need a reminder it's tattooed on Yasmine's neck.
Okay. So what pushed you all to make EDM music, or what inspired to go down that lane?
We were always making dancey pop music. I mean, we were very inspired in the early days by Mastercraft and Justice and Daft Punk and The Faint and stuff like that. But I think it wasn't until probably 2009 when we started taking it a bit more in the electronic dance realm. And I think it was just because the energy reminded us of the primalness of the rock music we grew up on. And so it really blended with our roots of what we really loved growing up.
Mm-hmm. And how did your parents feel about that? I know your dad was a little bit more, I guess, traditional. So when both of y'all first, decided, hey, we're finna do music full time, what was their reaction?
I think they're both nervous because it is scary as a parent having a child say that, hey, I'm going to drop out of school. And at the time, your only way to get insurance was to be a full-time student in college. So I think that was our dad's biggest concern. And there was no guarantee for income. It was an alternative route for a career. But I think once they saw that we actually started gaining traction online and like record labels started becoming interested in us, they saw that it was an actual, it was something that could be a promising career for us. And they just, I think all you want as a parent is to know that your kids are going to be okay and self-sufficient. And eventually over time they started becoming more and more excited about it and enthusiastic rather than like nervous for their kids figuring out how to pay rent and not having to borrow money for rent from them anymore.
All right, so would you say your parents are super fans at this point?
Oh yeah, I think the first show they ever really saw us kill, like an amazing show. They saw a couple of the beginning ones that weren't as great, but it was Spring Awakening 2012. It was one of our first, I think it was our second festival we were ever playing. It was in our hometown of Chicago. Both our parents came. Our dad was front row, jumping up and down like crazy, and our mom was dancing, and I think that was the first show they saw us with a huge crowd, and from there on out, they're both our #1 fans. They're tied at #1 as our #1 fans.
Okay. And earlier you mentioned that y'all all have the same tattoo, the 6810,
Mm-hmm.
and y'all dedicated y'all's life to music pretty much.
Yes.
So what about the other tattoos? What inspired some of the other ones, like the one on your right hand? Because both of y'all have a few.
Yeah, well, we can start with Crew Life. This is one that we both have. We actually got this on the Get Wet tour in 2013 with our crew, like our touring crew, our old tour manager at the time. And this is a community that we started with our fans, Crew Life. And once our fans started seeing pictures of us with this tattoo, they started getting it. So it's really cool to see fans at shows with matching tattoos and just getting pictures tweeted out online. So that's one we have together. Another one.
We have a couple.
What's another matching one?
We just got.
Oh yeah.
What it was 3 months ago? Jahan and I each got one.
Here.
Yours is right there.
Oh okay.
Yeah. We each got one half of a yin and yang, and that's just another sister tattoo we have. We are each other's halves, and we pretty much do everything together. So that was another one.
We like to collect tattoos from different areas. Like that one's from Brazil, right?
Yeah, my whole hand was done in Brazil, 2 separate occasions. So yeah.
We get to travel a lot, which is really cool. So if we go to any city that has like an amazing recommended tattoo artist or someone that we've been following on Instagram or we've had our eye on, and we have a day off, we like to try to get a tattoo from them because it's so cool to be like a walking work of art, like almost like a gallery in a sense of like little pieces from around the world.
Definitely. So you all are pretty close. Growing up, was there any like friction? Or were you all always like stuck like each other?
We have one older sister too, so it's three of us girls growing up.
Mhm.
Just like any household, there's like your typical bickering, but then also you're playing and being really imaginative, and then fighting over toys, and then but it's your family, and that's the amazing thing about family is that you can get over things really quickly because you know that person is like forever in your life and promised to be in your life forever. So it's you never question like, hey, maybe this isn't a good relationship, or maybe this is a toxic relationship, and I should distance myself. You can't do that with family, and that's what like forces you to figure out how to work things out.
Definitely. So I was watching a older interview. I think it probably came out about a month ago when you spoke on I guess neglecting your parents for a little bit as a child.
Oh, was this Lewis?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
that was a fun
Yeah, I
one.
think it was less about neglecting, but more of like when you're a teenager, you're
Yeah,
so
you're more focused on you.
Yeah, and just like how you fit in and what your image is and like who your friends are and boys, and like I felt so concerned with those things that kind of you take your parents for granted, or I feel like I did as a teenager.
So I guess what would your message be to teenagers that probably do that same thing right now?
I would say it's not so bad staying home on a Friday night. Like when I was a teenager, if I couldn't find somewhere to go on a Friday night or some party to go to, I felt really lonely. And if I could look back and like tell my younger self a piece of advice, the younger me from 10 years ago, I'd be like, stay home and like chill with your mom and like eat a meal with her and talk to her and get to know her. And I think that as a teenager, sometimes a lot of kids are trying to escape always, just run away and get drunk it was a lot of exploring for me, and I feel like I had to go through that to get to where I am today. But it's not so bad, chilling at home with your parents.
So I was browsing y'all's Instagram, both y'all's accounts earlier. You wear a lot of dark colors. So I guess what inspires both y'all's style?
Comfort, total
Yeah.
comfort. We're literally wearing the same big comfy shirts and comfy sweatpants or leggings. A lot of it has to do with the black colors are not because we have dark souls. It's more just that everything matches. But hey, I'm wearing green today. It's like a dark shade of green. It's a different color.
And also yesterday, Yasmine, or no, 2 days ago at our
Oh.
first show on the Sweatbox tour, Yasmine tried wearing a gray shirt for the after party, and literally like 5 minutes after putting it on, she had under boob sweat all over. So we sweat so much that it's like black
is
is
the
invisible.
only thing that works.
I wore olive green pants like this color, and I had butt sweat all over after our show. And also, this is our manager, Nathan, over there. You told me something interesting once. You were saying how the less time you spend picking out your outfit in the morning leaves more room for creativity. I don't know if that's who is
Mark
it?
Zuckerberg.
Mark Zuckerberg said that. That's so interesting. And like it was weird. It kind of reminded me of like when I was in high school and I would spend like an hour at night or in the morning, and it's exhausting trying to maintain your image like that. So now I make it a point to go in my closet and like black, easy.
Yeah,
Boom.
pick a shirt, pick pants, put them on. No brainer.
And just call it a day.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's dive back into the music. Outside of yourself, who's in your playlist right now?
Oh, my playlist. I have to think because I'm adding.
Yeah. I'm actually an album listener, so I'll listen to the two albums I'm really listening to right now is I actually recently went back to our buddy Steven. Our manager also manages him actually. His album came out how long ago? Almost a year ago?
May.
Okay, so it came out in May. Wow, my sense of time is awful. I listened to it like crazy when it first came out, took a break, and now I'm back to listening to it. And then I also am listening to the hardcore band Icy Stars album, Treehouse. It's super good, really well written. So those are the two albums I'm really listening to.
We're both really digging California, like 182. It's
Yes.
a great album.
So good.
And then I've been revisiting some old Bollywood music, Punjabi MC. That's a huge inspiration for the current music we're working on, as far as just like taking little Eastern elements like tablas or tribal drums or sitar sounds, and just kind of listening to the tones of that music and incorporating that in our current music.
Definitely. So Austin Thursday, Dallas yesterday. How did those shows go?
Amazing. amazing. So good. I think the first night in Dallas was one of the sweatiest shows we've ever played. Immediately 5 minutes in, I had sweat in my eyes, I couldn't see, I was whipping my hair around and spraying people with my sweat. So that's how you know it was a good show, if you really let it out that much.
Definitely. So, what should Houston expect tonight?
We think it's gonna be awesome.
We think it might
Yeah.
be the best Texas show. Not to pick favorites, but Houston always shows up super hard, so yeah,
And
we
you
have
all
high hopes.
y'all have been on a pretty sold out run so far.
Yeah.
So definitely high hopes all around. So the first album, Get Away, came out in 2013. Looking back, what do you think, I guess, caused the big delay to the Ammunition EP that's out right now? Of course, the lawsuit, but were there any other things going on that slowed the process down?
Totally. We almost released an EP in 2015. We had like 6 songs, maybe even more than that ready. We're like, we're ready to go with this. And then the team and the label were like, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel authentic to you guys. Keep trying. And we were really bummed at the time. But looking back, I'm so happy because they were right. It wasn't right yet. And so we spent 6 to 8 more months figuring out what was really genuine and authentic to how we were feeling. And then the Ammunition songs came out from that. And Beggars and Surrender the Throne were the 2 songs that survived from the previous EP.
Mm-hmm.
But the other 4 songs came out of that new mindset and phase that we were in. And it was just an experimental 2.5 years of trying to find and re-find our sound again. And I'm really glad we waited.
So, what kickstarted the creative process? I know you spent an extra 8 months putting it together, but what kind of, I guess, motivated you all to complete it? You know, did I know you've listened to the Bollywood music, or so what else was going on as far as inspiring you to come with new songs for the new EP versus, you know, having to pretty much shelve a old project?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's that conflict, trusting people on your team who are telling you that you can do better than this, and also wanting that for yourself and just wanting to beat the old songs that you wrote. And I think that's the process. It would be way too easy to be an artist if you just wrote something one day and you released it a week later. Some people can do that, but for us, we like care so deeply about our work and fine-tuning and rewriting and changing the vibe of the song and trying out different production. Sometimes our songs go through like 8 different phases before they actually become the final song. And that's just the process that music has to go through. But we never stopped writing, and I think sometimes on the outside it seems like that because you disappear for a while and you go into like hibernation. But we pretty much continuously were in the studio every single day since Get Wet, since we were on that tour that was promoting the Get Wet album.
Okay, so what's your favorite track off Ammunition?
Oh, it depends on the day. You know what? I'll base it off of performing because I think that's like a true test. Is like that moment when you're like, yes, this song. You know, we're about to play this song and I get really excited for it. I love performing Beggars. We've actually been opening with that on the tour.
Yes, so much fun.
It's an incredible way to kick off a show. Just the energy is insane. And just seeing how many fans are just screaming that hook, and you could see that that's their moment to like release all of their aggression and anger or angst or whatever they're bottling up inside, and it's really cool to be able to facilitate that for fans. And I love performing Broken Record too. When that comes in, it's a really cool juxtaposition of something that's like really vulnerable and emotional, but then also transitions into this like harder, edgier drop. So I love having those like change of emotions, and that keeps us excited when we're performing.
Okay. So both of those tracks, were those the 2 that were produced by, was it Discord? I know he worked on Beggars.
They worked on both of those, yeah. Beggars is our collaboration with Discord, and we did some of Broken Record with this guy, Oliver Lord, who's actually from Dallas. He came to the show last night, and then Discord too. We worked on it with both of them.
That's dope. So I guess what made you to pick those 2 songs? Because you have 2 visuals. Those are the first 2 visuals off the project as well.
That's true.
And both, you know, have the same collaborators.
I think those are, I mean, not to say those are our favorite songs off the EP because I love Surrender the Throne too. I would have to say that's probably my favorite song to perform off the EP. But Beggars and Broken Record, I would say, represent us and our vision really well and where we're taking our project in the future. They're just really very representative of where we're going. So I think those are why we did visuals for those two songs.
Okay. So I was listening to Can't Forget You earlier, and you spoke about letting things get the best of you. So I guess were you speaking on a particular instance in your life, and if so, how does that situation look these days?
You really dug into these lyrics, man.
Yeah, you
I
gotta
love
decode
it
it sometimes.
Yes. That song we wrote specifically about, we were just in the studio having a conversation basically. We wrote it with our buddy Steven, who I shouted out the album of earlier, and our friend JT as well. And we were just talking about the early days of our career and just how things change over the years. And we were reminiscing on the early days when we had 20 people in the crowd, and then a year later we'd see the same 20 people but 2,000 would be behind them, and just the progression of our amazing careers, but how sometimes you lose sight of what you first started this whole thing for. And so that song is about the day one fans getting back to that feeling of why you do this every day, why you wake up to make music and play shows every day. And Can't Forget You is about our day ones, and it's about our city, Chicago.
No, definitely. I love Chicago. I love country,
yeah.
so. But your first official single, Alive, was top 40 hit, back 2012, 2013. Do you all ever feel like the pressure to produce another major hit that's like a big crossover record?
We talk about that a lot. There will be phases we'll go through where we feel a lot of pressure based on what our team tells us and our label, and other times we'll just look at each other and be like, let's just do what we want. Fuck all of the noise and banter and opinions of everyone else. I mean, in the end, it's me and you, and it's what we love to do, and we want to give our fans our best. And if our best isn't exactly what the world sees as what's going to be top 40, that's okay.
And that's not why we're making music in the first place. And I think for any artist, it's like Alive came to be, like we wrote that from just this really, it was like the New Year's Eve at like 5 a.m. and we weren't thinking, hey, let's write a radio hit. And I don't think that's how, maybe for some artists it works that way, but I think we have to go back to that, like almost that innocence, that creative innocence of writing, rather than being strategic and formulaic when you're writing. So I think it's really important to maintain that mindset in the studio and just like be in the moment and present rather than strategic.
Okay. So I have another question. You all got the tattoos at 6, 8, 10. So what kind of advice can you give to people who contemplate, chasing their passion versus being practical? Since you were once, in that situation yourself, with you studying communications and you wanted to study engineering. What can you say to, I guess, all the people who are on that borderline right now, especially your fans?
I always forget the triple P's, like patience, persistence, perseverance.
Persistence and
Yeah,
perseverance are the same thing. Something
Just
like
remember
that.
the triple P.
Passion?
Passion.
Passion?
It could be. There are lots of good
There's
P's.
a lot of good P's.
I think a lot of the time when people they try something and they give up easily, but a lot of the time it's just realizing that it might take like a year, it might take 3 years, it might take 5 years to attain your goal. And the only reason why people don't achieve it, unless they're really not meant to be doing what they're doing, is just because they give up. And they don't realize that it's going to take a lot of struggling and being rejected over and over and over. And I think it's being ready to handle that rejection, because we've dealt with it a lot as artists. Every artist deals with it. Anyone in any career deals with it. So I think it's, staying really focused and like you were talking about noise before, knowing that you're going to have a ton of opinions, just staying focused on what your path is.
And there's that picture that you see sometimes, it's the iceberg, and at the top it's like success, and you see this tiny peak peeking out of the water, and that's what everyone else sees. And then there's this giant block of ice under the water, all this shit that nobody else sees, all these fears, anxiety, great moments, awful moments. I mean, there's so much that nobody will ever see from what we do, from what any creative person does, what any person who's successful does. So you just have to keep going until you feel like you're where you want to be, and then keep trying, because there's no point to stopping, because once you're here, you got to keep evolving.
And the obvious things like work ethic. Also, surrounding yourself with a really good team is important. People that are going to keep encouraging you to be your most authentic self and to take risks also, because I think people get like stuck inside their comfort zones.
Okay, definitely. So you mentioned you all record, work on music pretty much 24/7. I guess what should we expect next? Because you dropped 6 songs, 2 videos so far. Currently on tour.
We have a couple things in our back pocket. I can't really say exactly when things are coming, but we're gonna.
We're finishing them.
Our manager's thing.
If we weren't,
I don't know what
if we weren't in Texas right now, we would be in the studio in Los Angeles finishing up the records. They're really close. I would say they're like 70% done. We just have to rewrite a couple things and tweak production. But it's currently like we definitely have our eyes on a couple songs that feel like the next songs.
Okay.
So you'll see soon.
Definitely.
They're coming.
Everybody's very excited. Of course, the show is sold out. If there's one last thing you could tell to all the fans that are going to be out there, what would it be?
Texas is awesome. We've always had like really good shows here, dating back before the Get Wet tour, I'd say.
2012.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did our first real tour run here, or second.
With
So
Benny Benassi.
we went on tour with Benny Benassi in 2012 or something, and that was our first taste of Texas. And our first festival was in Texas, Dallas Meltdown, April 2012, I want to say. I mean, we have real roots here with our fans. I was talking about our day ones. Our day ones are here, and they're going to be at that show tonight, so we're going to go as hard as we possibly can for them.
Definitely. You got anything, Justin?
I got 4 questions.
Go for
So,
it.
first question. You guys mentioned traveling. What is the best part of this job? Is it traveling? Is it the fans?
We actually, in the Texas run, we got to drive everywhere. So our tour manager actually drove, which was very relaxing for us because we got to just like hang out in the car and talk and listen to music and chill. Fans are of course amazing. It's the highlight of our night every night on tour. We try to eat good food when we're on the road. Like if we have an hour here and there, we'll like be Googling healthy places. We're clean eaters. When we're on the road, we try to be. So we'll look at like cool cafes to go to. That
I
gives
saw
you
Rebels.
something. What's that?
I saw Ruggles Green. That's a
Yes,
really
we went
healthy
there
place.
earlier. Rubble's Cafe?
Ruggles
Cuddle?
Green.
Cuddle?
Me and my boss.
Cuddles.
Cuddles.
But yeah, that gives you, I think it's like finding things to look forward to on the road. Obviously the fans you can look forward to, but like trying to stay healthy and having a routine.
Yeah, and I think it's crazy being in the studio for so long creating our last EP. I think it was, like I said, 2.5 years. Putting the songs out in May and now touring off this EP, those songs were just sitting there waiting for so long, and now we're actually singing them to hundreds of people who are singing back. It's like the songs are alive, and it's super weird because for the longest time they were just sitting in our demos folder in iTunes, and now so many people are singing them back to us. It's kind of unreal. I forgot what that feels like. I haven't felt like that since we toured off Get Wet since 2013. So that's probably my favorite feeling, is that these songs feel so real and alive to me.
Because that was going to be my next question. What's the best part of this job? Like, what do you get the most out of it?
Yeah, that
I guess
has
is
to
that
be it.
feeling? Yeah.
Yeah, and also we get so many amazing fan interactions before and after shows. There was this girl after the Austin show who came up to me. We were getting in our car to go to the after party, and I saw her holding a sign in the corner, so I walked over to her, and she told me that we are the reason that she wanted to start doing music. And stuff like that, you hear stuff like that every night from people, and it never gets old. Stuff like that is inspiring. It makes me want to keep making music so I can be a part of someone else's inspiration. Because I know so many of my own favorite artists that inspired me and made me want to do this. And if I could, or if we could be that for someone else, that's insane.
So next question would be, how you guys mentioned your team about having a good team that supports you, backs you up. Are there any low
Hey.
or?
Yeah, I think we have to sound checks.
Oh yeah, we do have to sound check.
Okay.
Quick answers.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. How did you choose your team?
You don't choose your team chooses you. It's like friends. Actually, Nathan right here. Nathan is our first manager, and Nathan found us on MySpace.
2008.
And then Jake Udell is our other manager. I graduated with him, so he came along later on. So both of them manage us, and they balance each other out. And I think that's really important to have that balance.
It's gonna be a random question, but I have to turn it to you. How was this before MySpace was closed, or was it after it was revamped?
It was before. It was
Yeah,
back in the day.
Early days of MySpace.
They were like a hipster ass like garage band on MySpace. Think like LMFAO in the early days, or like Hyper Crush or something like that. Those just like scenester kids. And Jahan had this like angular haircut that was crazy, and Yasmine was still in high school, so I just slid in their DMs and was like, "What's up, fam? You trying to collab?"
Oh
And
my
straight up, that's what I actually said. I was like-
DMs did not exist yet.
But it was like private message. It's like, "Yo, fam, you trying to collab?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, let's jump in."
I don't think we